Hello! Welcome to Teach Me Maths. My name is Jonathan Hicks. Today we're doing the median of a frequency distribution. Now, in order to understand this, you first of all need to know how to find the median of a short list of numbers, just a straightforward list of any set of numbers. Go and watch the mean, median and mode video if you're not sure how to do that, and then come back here. Also though, you need to understand what a frequency distribution is. And probably the best video to watch for that is the mean of a frequency distribution video, because I talked about quite a few of the concepts behind frequency distributions. In general, I recommend you do the mean of a frequency distribution first, then the mode of a frequency distribution, and then come on to this video, which is the median of a frequency distribution. If you watch them in that order, you'll find it a lot easier. Now, median is probably the hardest one to do in practice, and that's because conceptually it gets a little bit trickier. I'll explain what I mean in a minute. But once you understand what to do, actually it's quite straightforward. It doesn't take very long. It's getting the concept straight in your head that's the tricky bit. So pay attention, because this is going to get a little bit involved. Now let's just come up with a simple list of numbers to start with. Imagine I had 3 and 4 and another 4, and we'll just have a few numbers here. Now, for frequency distributions, remember a frequency distribution, I'll draw out a table and remind you about it being a shorthand for a long list of numbers and all the rest of it in a bit. But when you're dealing with frequency distributions, typically the long list of numbers can be very long. And the hard part is often working out where the middle is. Now, for a short list of numbers, it's fairly straightforward. The middle is, well, in this case, it's there. You can just pair your way in from the outside to find the middle point. And that's how I recommended you do it on the mean, median and mode video for a short list of numbers. But if you've got 100 numbers in the list, you don't want to be writing out all 100 numbers and then somehow pairing your way into the middle or anything. It'll take forever. I mean, I suppose technically it would work, you know, you can do that, but it's much quicker to do it using the frequency table. So as I say, I'll show you how to do that in a second, but before we do that, we have this problem of working out where the middle point is. Not what number is in the middle, but just simply where it is. If I've got 100 numbers in my list, which is the number in the middle? Is it the 50th number? Or the 51st number maybe? It's not immediately obvious. I can tell you now it's not the 50th number. So how do you work it out? So what I want to do is explain with a simple list of numbers how you find out where the middle is, and then we'll come on to a proper frequency distribution and how you find the median. So I'm going to draw a little table out here to help us, so just give me a moment. Okay, this is my table. So on the left hand column here, I've got the number of numbers in the list. So for this list of numbers, there are 5 numbers in the list, but we're going to consider different sets of numbers. So maybe I've only got 1 number in my list, that'd be a very small list, or 2 numbers in the list, 3 numbers in the list, etc. And that can become as big as you like. What we're going to do is try and work out where the median would be. Not what the median would be, but where it would be. Where in the list would the midpoint be? Again, just with the concepts for median, you take your long list of numbers, you write them out in order from smallest to largest, and you just pick the one in the middle. Yeah? So we've got to find where the middle is. So let's just go back slightly. If we take it down to just 1 number to start with, if there's only 1 number, then that's in the middle, I suppose, technically, because it's the only number in the list. So in that case, the median would be the first number in the list. If you've got 2 numbers in the list, maybe we've got 3 and 4, then the midpoint would be halfway between the first and the second number. It's there, if you like. So what I'm going to write here is, mathematically this is a little bit dodgy, but hopefully it'll make sense. I'm going to write the 1.5th number. What I mean is, it's the number that's halfway between the first number and the second number. Yeah, the 1.5th number, if you're allowed to do that. So now let's move on to 3 numbers. If you've got 3 numbers in the list, so let's have another 4 now. Then the middle number, if you pair your way in from the outside, is the second number in the list. So in this case, it's the second number. Now let's have another number there. Now we've got 4 numbers in the list. Yeah, 4 numbers in the list. So again, pair your way in, pair. The middle point is going to be halfway between these two. So it's halfway between the second number and the third number. So halfway between 2 and 3 is 2.5. So again, using my slightly dodgy representation here, it's the 2.5th number. Yeah, the number that's halfway between the second number and the third number. Let's have some more numbers. I'll stick a 6 on there. So now we've got 5 numbers in the list. Where is the median? Where's the midpoint? Or pair your way in from the outside. It's the third number in the list. So in this case, it's the third one. Let's stick an 8 on the end of this one. So pair your way in again. That's the midpoint. So halfway between the third number and the fourth number. So again, that would be the 3.5 number. Yep, halfway between the third and the fourth number. Now, hopefully by this point you can spot there's a pattern. As you increase the numbers by 1, where the middle point is, just keeps going up by a half each time, yeah? So 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, etc. And that pattern continues. It doesn't matter how many numbers you have, you can work out where the midpoint will be using this pattern. Now, having said that, for 100 numbers, if you extended this to 100, working out quite where the midpoint will be using this pattern will take a while. But some clever mathematician came up with a little formula for this, which, if you know how many numbers there are in your list of numbers, will tell you exactly where the midpoint is. So let me write down what the formula is and then I'll explain it to you. So the median is the n plus 1 over 2 number. Yes, I know. Let me explain it. N is the number of numbers in the list, okay? So these things down here, that's always n. And that's a standard convention in statistics. A lowercase n, and sometimes an uppercase n as well, typically represents the number of numbers you're dealing with. So if it's a list of numbers, it's the number of numbers in the list. So that's the number of numbers. What you do is, you add 1 to that first of all, then you divide it by 2, and that tells you where the median is. Not what the median is, but where it is. So let me give you an example. Let's imagine we've got 5 numbers in our list. Okay, we'll go back to it here. So 5 numbers in our list. So n in this case has to be 5. Remember, n is the number of numbers in the list. So you take 5, you add 1 to it, that gives you 6. Divide that by 2, you get 3. So the median will be the third number in the list. And you can see, here it is, the third number. Pair your way in, it's the third number in the list. So for example, if you had, let's just do another one. Let's have a few more numbers on the end here. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 numbers in our list now. So 9 plus 1 will give you 10. Divide that by 2, you get 5. So the median will be the 5th number in the list. Yeah, and if you pair your way in, pair, there we go. That's the middle point, and it's the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th number in the list. Yeah, so for 9, if you've got 9 numbers in your list, the median will be the 9 plus 1 over 2 number. Yeah, 9 plus 1 is 10, over 2 gives you 5, so it's the 5th number in the list. So this nifty little formula here, which is very important in statistics generally, tells you where to find the median. Yeah, it's the n plus 1 over 2th number in the list. Now obviously if it's an even number of numbers, let's just do one more example very quickly. Yeah, that's 6 numbers. So in this case, you've got 6 plus 1 over 2. 6 plus 1 is 7. Divide that by 2, you get 3.5. So in this case, that means the median would be halfway between the 3rd and the 4th value. That's what that 3.5 means. So pair your way in, that's the midpoint, and you can see halfway between the 3rd and the 4th value. So that's how you use this formula. And I'm going over this in some detail because it is very important. And I recommend you learn this one. Some tests, they might give you this formula so you don't need to learn it, but I strongly recommend you do learn it anyway, okay? Because you can never be sure, it does vary quite a lot. So the median is the n plus 1 over 2 number. All right, so now you've got that concept straight in your head. Let me draw up a frequency distribution, and I'm going to use the same frequency distribution that we used in the mean of a frequency distribution video, so you can sort of compare it. But we're going to find the median then of that long list of numbers. All right. Okay, so that's our frequency distribution, and they're always the same. Remember, the first column, the X numbers, is always the answers to the questions that you asked. So we asked lots of couples how many children they had, and they either had no children, or 1 child, or 2 children, 3 children, or 4 children. Nobody from our group had more than 4 children. So we asked all those families those things, and the frequency, the second column, these numbers tell you how many families had that many children. So 3 families had no children at all, 5 had 1 child, 8 had 2 children, 7 had 3 children, etc. So that's what it means. Now I've gone over that in some detail in the other video, so do go and watch those other videos if you're not totally sure about that. We need to find the median, the middle number, from this frequency distribution. Again though, you must remember, you're not finding the median from that list of numbers or the median of that list of numbers. This whole table is just shorthand for a long list of numbers. And you've got to find the median of the long list of numbers. Whenever you find mode, median or mean, it's always the mode, median or mean of the long list of numbers. Never the numbers in the table. You just use the table to help you. It's shorthand for the long list of numbers. Now it's actually quite easy to do this when you know how. But the first thing you have to do is to work out where the midpoint is. Using that formula that we just came up with, find out where the median would be in our long list of numbers. And in order to do that, we need to know how many numbers there are in the list. So if you remember from the mean video, the frequencies, if you add those up, tell you how many numbers there are in the list. Yeah? If there are 3 zeros in the list, 5 ones in the list, 8 twos in the list, etc., then add up all the frequencies, you'll get the total number of all the numbers in the list. So again, 3 plus 5 is 8, plus 8 gives you 16, plus 7 is 23, and another one makes 24. So the sum, we use the sigma again to represent this, the sum of all the F numbers, the sum of all the frequencies is 24. So when we use our formula, the median, now remember it's the n plus 1 over 2 number. And n is 24. There are 24 numbers in our long list of numbers. So the midpoint is found by sticking 24 in there. So 24 plus 1, and then we're going to divide that by 2 to find out our position. So in this case, 24 plus 1 gives you 25. Divide that by 2, and I think you'll get 12 and a half. So the median is the 12 and a half number, if you like. Yeah, if we wrote out the entire list of numbers, that would be halfway between the 12th and the 13th number. Now, knowing that, you can then use the table to immediately see what the median is. But I'm not going to do that first of all. What I'm going to do is reconstruct this long list of numbers from the table first, and it'll just help you with the concepts a bit. Now, some people find this hard to remember, and the whole process that we're about to do rather confusing. So if this doesn't work for you, you can always resort to writing out the long list of numbers. You can use the table, the frequency table, to write out the long list of numbers and then just pay away into the middle. That will work. And I'm going to sort of do at least half of that now to show you how these concepts all fit together. So remember, for the median, it's the one in the middle. When you write them out in order from smallest to largest, you must write them out in order or you're going to get the wrong answer. So the first number in our list then, when we take all the numbers of children from all the different families and write all those numbers in order from smallest to largest, the first number in the list will be 0. Yeah, because they've got to be in order from smallest to largest, and 0 is the smallest number in the list, There are 3 of them, so the first number in the list is 0. So if we were to write out the entire list, the first number would be 0. The second number in our long list of numbers is not 1. Okay? There are 1s in the list, but you've got to put all your zeros first, and there are 3 zeros in the list. So the second number in the long list of numbers is another 0. So that goes there. And as I say, there are 3 zeros. So I need all 3 zeros to come first. 0, 0, 0. Then we get on to our 1s. There are 5 1s in the list. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1s in the list. Then we get on to the 2s. There are 8 2s in the list. 1, 2, 3, 4. I won't write them all out. You get the idea. That's how you construct the long list of numbers. So if you're not sure about all of this, median n plus 1 over 2 thing, then don't worry about that. Just use the table to construct the long list of numbers and literally, with your fingers, pair your way in from the outside until you get to the midpoint. That will work. However, if this list of numbers has 100 numbers in it, it will take you a long time, okay? And it's easy to make a mistake. You know, if you accidentally miss a number when you're pairing your way in, you're going to get the wrong answer. So the method I'm about to explain is much quicker and it's much easier to do, and you're more likely to get it right, as long as you can remember the method in the first place. That's the tricky thing. You've got to get your head around these concepts so you understand what you're doing. So first of all, you remember this formula, n plus 1 over 2. You use it to discover that the midpoint is the 12.5th number. Now again, you could write out the first, well, we're probably in the first 13 numbers. How many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. In fact, the next number will be the 13th number. So let me stick one more 2 on there. Yeah, we were going to have 8 2s, so we can have that many. So the midpoint is going to be halfway between the 12th and the 13th, so it is actually there. And you can see in this case, halfway between 2 and 2 is just 2. So the median in this case would be 2. That's the answer. But you don't need to write out all these numbers to figure that out. You can do it just from the table. You need the 12.5th number. But if you were to write these out in order from smallest to largest, so without actually doing it, if you just imagine yourself writing out the numbers from smallest to largest, you would put 3 zeros first. Then you would have 5 1s. So altogether now, you started off with 3 zeros in the list, and then you've had 5 1s. So now we're up to 8 numbers. Yep. That last one will be the 8th number in the list, because 3 plus 5 gives you 8. Then you're going to add on another 8 2s, and remember you're looking for the 12th or 13th number, those 2 numbers. Yep. So 3 zeros, and then 5 1s takes you up to 8, and then another 8 2s is going to take you up to 16. All the 2s will take you up to 16, yeah? 3 plus 5 plus 8 is 16, and that takes you past the 12th and 13th number. And so you know the 12th and 13th number fell in the 2s somewhere. You don't know where exactly without writing out all the numbers, but you know that there are 8 2s, so you've gone past the 12th and the 13th number. So the median has to be somewhere between one of these 2s, or between 2 of these 2s, and so the median has to be 2. So you can see what the median is just by looking at the table, counting at the frequencies, and finding where the 12th and 13th numbers would sit. And in this case, they would sit in these 8 2s, so the median has to be 2. So in this case, the 12.5 number would just be 2. Now that's the concept. If you can get that, as I say, this is actually very quick and easy to do. I'll do one more example very quickly so you can sort of try it yourself, but ultimately you need to decide, are you better off trying this to sort of master it and do it really quickly, or do you just want to try and write out the full list of numbers? Because you can do that and it will work, or it'll just take you rather a long time. So just give me a moment. Okay, that was a moment. Now, I've used the same table that I used for the mode video. So when I've worked out the mode of a frequency distribution, I used the previous table we've just seen, and then I also used this table. And as I said in that video, it really doesn't matter what the context is here. X is the answers to whatever question you asked. So maybe you asked how many glasses of water people drank in a day or something. And the frequency is the number of people that gave that answer. So 2 people said they don't drink any glasses of water, or whatever the context is. 3 people picked 1. 9 people said 2. 8 people said 3, etc. So if you think about your long list of numbers, when you write out all your numbers in order from smallest to largest, the first number in the list is going to be 0 again. Now, as I say, you don't actually need to do this. You don't need to write out the numbers. I'm just doing it briefly so you get the concept straight. The second number in the list is going to be another 0. There are 2 zeros in the list, so you need those 2 first. Then we're going to have all our 1s, and there are 3 1s in the list. So 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to have all these 2s. So 1, 2, 3, etc. So if you're not sure about this n plus 1 over 2 thing, use this to write out all the numbers, and you do have to write them all out. Pair your way in from the outside, and you get your median that way. However, if you want to use the formula and do it properly, the quick way, then it goes like this. So the median is the n plus 1 over 2 number in the list. That's what we're looking for. N in this case, well, if you add up all your frequencies, so 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 9 is 14, plus 8 is 22, plus 6 is 28, plus 5 gives you 33. So there are 33 numbers in our list. So n is 33. So it's 33 plus 1 and then divide it by 2. So 33 plus 1 gives you 34. Divide that by 2, you get 17. So in this case, the median is the 17th number in the list. And then you can use your table to work out where the 17th number is. The first 2 numbers are 0, so that's 2. The next 3 are all 1, so now we're up to 5. Yep, 2 plus 3 gives you 5. The next 9 numbers will all be 2. So 5 plus another 9 means you're up to the 14th number. Remember, we're looking for the 17th number, so we're not there yet. So the 14th number is the last 9. You've then got 8 3s in the list. Now, from 14, if you add 8, you're going to go past 17. That means that the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, etc. are all going to be 3. We only care about the 17th, but that means the 17th must be a 3. The 17th number must sit somewhere in all of these 8 3s. So the median, in this case, is just 3. So that's how you do it without writing out the list of numbers. As I say, if you get the concepts, it's fairly easy to do. Use the formula to work out where the middle point is, count up through the frequencies until you find it, read off the number. But as I say, if you're not too sure about that, just write out all the numbers, pair your way in from the outside, and you'll find the number in the middle. My name is Jonathan Hicks, and you're watching Teach Me Maths.